my audience.
Can you see the TV?
Yes.
Great. All right, so thank you so much for coming today for me to give this piece of information to you. I know with the whole coronavirus thing, it's very hard for people to gather. So luckily, we are, pretty decently separated. However, we do know each other, so it's not too big of a deal. But regardless, thank you so much for coming. Next slide. All right, so the purpose of this demonstration is how to efficiently, effectively, and safely perform the Heimlich maneuver on someone that is choking. Next slide. So I'm going to quickly go through a scenario with you. All right, so tonight we're having a nice meal, and just like every other night, we sit down to a nice meal with your family. Nothing too out of the ordinary. You do it every day of the week. Nothing crazy's happening. Tonight we're having some fried chicken. So the thing with fried chicken is that you just pick it up and you eat it. We don't worry about cutting it into smaller pieces or making sure it's small enough. We just go ahead and eat it. Unless we do have children or elderly people to take care of, and then we do go ahead and do that extra mile. But if not, we just go ahead and eat it. So we're eating the meal, and then all of a sudden, next slide, oh no, Dad starts choking, all right? So what are we gonna do? The whole room goes panic, and 3 questions come into people's mind. Who can help? What are they gonna do to help? And when should they go ahead and step in and help that person choking? Next slide. Today I'm going to go over the answer to all 3 of those questions. I'm Hank Davis, and I'm here to teach you how to do the Heimlich maneuver. All right, so a little bit about myself. I am qualified to give this class. I am basic life support certified as well as CPR certified. So I do have the credentials to teach this class. However, I've never performed it on a choking person, but I do know how to do it correctly. Next, I'm going to go over why you need this information. Well, this information is actually way more pertinent than you might think. According to the National Safety Council, the 4th leading cause of death in the U.S. every year is the choking hazard. So choking is very prominent. Most people don't know that. About 5,000 people die from choking every year. So that's why you need the information. All right, so the next I'm going to go over a preview of the topics on how to perform the Heimlich maneuver. So I just went over an introduction to myself, and next I'm going to go over how you know when to do the Heimlich maneuver, what the Heimlich maneuver actually does medically, like what does it do to your body, and then I'm going to go over how to perform the Heimlich maneuver in a step process. Next slide. So the first thing is, how do we know if a person needs the Heimlich maneuver? Well, one, they're going to start choking, right? All right, so if that person is choking, but they're coughing, so air is continuing to come out of them, or you see they're still breathing, all right? So if yes, they're going to continue to let that person breathe or cough. You're going to let them be able to get it up themselves. So we're not going to interfere with a person that is already capable of getting that obstruction out. We're going to let the body do what it's good at, getting rid of stuff that's not supposed to be in their body. But if no, that person needs help, and they need help very quickly. So we're going to go ahead and step in and give them that assistance. Next slide. All right, so this is how does the Heimlich maneuver work? All right, so I think it's very important to know how a process works before we get into knowing how to do it, right? So the Heimlich maneuver is actually referred to in medical journals, like the information I got in this slide is actually from Hopkins Medicine. The Heimlich maneuver is referred to as the abdominal thrust. All right, the abdominal thrust is where you're going to put pressure on the diaphragm, which is the muscle that separates the lungs from the rest of the internal organs. Push up air that is in the lungs, pushing that air up the esophagus and out of the through the windpipe and out of the mouth, clearing any obstruction that is in the throat. Next slide. So this is just a quick picture of actually how that works. So even though these lungs are not to scale with the human body, your lungs actually sit up here, but the diaphragm rests right below your lungs. So pushing on that diaphragm is going to collapse these lungs, pushing the rest of the remaining air that is left in the lungs up the esophagus or the windpipe and out of the mouth. All right, so that's going to go ahead and clear that obstruction. Next slide. All right, so this is how to actually perform the Heimlich maneuver. So the Heimlich maneuver is actually a really easy thing to do. Not very difficult. It's only about a 5-step process with a little bit of safety features in there that I'm going to go over. But just 5 steps can save a person's life, and I'm going to show you how to do that now with the assistance of my younger brother. So if you just step up here for me real quick. All right, so we're sitting down to a nice meal one night, and my assistant here starts choking. Oh no, he's choking, right? All right, so what do we notice? First, is that person breathing or coughing? Looks like no. It looks like he's not breathing or coughing, so we're going to go ahead and step in and give some assistance. So first, I'm going to go over some safety stuff. So before you jump in, it's important to be safe for you and for the person that's choking. So we're going to go ahead and put one leg through their legs in order to form this secureness, so they're not wobbling all around. And if they are, we can go ahead and catch them. It's very secure. All right, so next, we're going to make sure our head is on either side of their head, so it's not directly back. So when we do this thrust, their head kicks back. It won't hit us in the face. So we're both safe. All right. Next question or next slide. All right. So now we're going to perform the first step. Really easy. We're going to go ahead and reach around that person's waist. Next slide. So we're going to clench a fist and position that clenched fist above the navel but below the rib cage. Next slide. Next, we're going to reach around that coughing person and clench that fist with our other hand. All right. Next slide. Now we're going to push directly backwards, upwards in a hook-like motion, and that's going to create that push on the diaphragm, which is going to collapse the lungs and expel the obstruction. So we're going to go ahead and do that cough. That's good. Doing this motion very sharply but efficiently. We'll get that out of their esophagus. Thank you so much. Next slide. And we're going to repeat that process 5 or 6 times until that obstruction is alleviated, or until the person collapses. And in that case, we go ahead and start CPR. They tell you not to do the Heimlich Maneuver on pregnant people or people that you can't grasp around, like obese people. They go ahead and tell you to just go ahead and start doing chest compressions to get that out. So we just did all the steps of the Heimlich Maneuver. And that's how you do it. And that's how you do it efficiently and safely. Next slide. So in conclusion, you don't have to be a medical professional to save someone's life. You just have to be able to be confident with the knowledge that you just received to go in and help somebody and save a life. So thank you so much for coming today. You have any questions? No? All right, great. And well, that concludes it. Thank you so much. And there's my audience.